With the coming of agriculture, food supply became ensured. So now, because of food production, there is also surplus food grains. And this surplus food grains are required to be stored. And so, for storage, improved techniques have come about, like increased use of pottery, big uh, pots, clay pots came to be used as vessels for storage. And this is also when the concept of granary came about. Granaries are storehouses for food grains. Now, these stored food grains were also used as as items of barter for other goods and for even labor. Now, you must be knowing what is barter. Barter is exchange of goods without the use of money. So, this stored food is used to uh, procure other items through barter. Now, again, there is significant improvement in the use of tools. The tools became more polished, and then with the coming of polished and better tools, the settlements also became improved. Now, the huts were made from branches of trees and then foliage, and the walls were made with plastered. The walls were plastered with mud. Then we find that the potter's wheel, became very important. So, along with agriculture came the concept of water storage, because water is an important uh, requirement for agriculture. So, we find here that there is a transition from uh, early agriculture to what can be called the preliminaries of urbanization. Now, the generally held view is that the spread of agriculture happened from West Asia to Northwest India. But evidence from local sites show that there could have been local transition also. It need not have come from the West. Then usually the main crops were which were cultivated were wheat, barley, rice, and millet. Rice, especially in eastern India. And the domesticated animals were sheep, goats, and cattle. So at this stage, pastoralism and agriculture happened side by side. Then we find that along with the coming of more better vessels from the potter's wheel, we find that the pots, different shapes and sizes of pots came about. For example, when a person was buried, after the person has died, was buried along with certain goods. These goods, which were called grave goods, were also buried in pots. And for child burial, large urns were used. Urns are bigger sized pots. And because there was high infant mortality at this stage. So we find that with the coming of agriculture, a significant social change has also come about, because now there were certain people who are controlling the production, certain people who were required to manage the stored food, certain people who had the responsibility of cultivating in the field. So, usually, the cultivation at the very initial stages were done by the family members or by or through clan labor. That means people from the same family or the same clan. And this is also called kin labor, kin, kin labor. But later, when huge tracts were used for cultivation, then non kin labor also were used for cultivation. That means people belonging to, not to the family, but from others. And also, captive laborers also worked in the fields. So, because of increase in production, the work of management of distribution of food became very important. Somebody had to take the leadership, somebody had to manage the distribution of food here. And so that this led to the emergence of a chief. Chief means the leader, and this is how the concept of chiefdom emerged. Now, we find Neolithic sites in Mehrgarh, which is near Quetta in Balochistan in Pakistan. And here, the origins of Mehrgarh is goes back to sometime in the 7,000 BC, 7,000 BC. So we find that there is a gradual evolution here from agriculture towards urbanization. And these settlements were not isolated. There was often interaction between different settlements through exchange of goods. In Mergar, there was the evidence shows that other than wheat, barley, which was cultivated, and the domesticated animals, there were evidence of the existence of mud brick huts, existence of granaries, existence of pit burials, then beads and clay figurines. So there were other sites also, and which shows that the Balochistan region uh, could perhaps be seen as the precursor of Harappan civilization, where both pastoral and agricultural activities uh, were prevalent in those times. Thank you.